The glittering ships of the Call exploration fleet drifted through the uncharted system, their silver hulls reflecting distant starlight. Commander Tai of the Call species stood on his bridge, mandibles twitching with anticipation. His tall, insect-like form cast a long shadow across the command deck as he studied the star charts before him. Another empty system, murmured his second-in-command June, his voice carrying a hint of boredom. The blue-skinned officer had served with Ta for over 15 cycles and had grown accustomed to these routine exploration missions. Ta nodded in agreement. Their mission to chart this sector had proven uneventful. The Call Dominion continued to expand its borders, yet they rarely encountered other spacefaring species. This had led to a certain complacency among his crew, a dangerous attitude that Tai often tried to correct. The Supreme Council expects us to find resources, not empty space, Ta said. Keep scanning. There must be something of value here. The bridge crew worked in silence, the soft beeping of their consoles the only sound. The Call prided themselves on efficiency and discipline. Their slim bodies, covered in a hard exoskeleton, moved with precision as they operated the complex systems of the warship. Wait, said Sensor Officer Hyun suddenly, her antennae straightening in alarm. Something is approaching from the third planet's moon. It's massive. Tae turned sharply. Show me. The main screen flickered to life, and the bridge crew fell silent. The object that appeared on their view screens was unlike anything they had encountered. Sleek and dark, bristling with what appeared to be weapon systems, the vessel moved with surprising grace for its size. Analysis, Ta demanded, his outer eyelids blinking rapidly. Hyun's fingers danced across her console. The vessel is approximately 1,200 units in length. Hull composition unknown. Power readings unclear. Our sensors cannot penetrate their outer shielding. Tai felt a flutter of concern. The Call possessed the most advanced sensor technology in their known space. Nothing should be able to block their scan so completely. Are they aware of us? Tai asked. They appear to be altering course to intercept, Hyun confirmed. The strange ship grew larger on their screen. Its dark hull seemed to absorb the starlight rather than reflect it. Weapon ports lined its sides, though they remained closed. What truly caught Tae's attention was the strange symbol painted on its hull, a blue sphere with white patterns that resembled continents. Open communications, Tae ordered. The communications officer, Ban, nodded. Channel open, Commander. Tae straightened his posture, his mandibles set in the formal position of authority. This is Commander Ta of the Call Dominion Exploration Fleet. Identify yourselves and state your purpose in this system. The bridge crew waited. Seconds stretched into minutes. Ta was about to repeat his message when the screen changed. The image of a creature appeared, a being with no exoskeleton, covered in some form of artificial shell. Its face was flat, with a mere 2 eyes and a strange protruding nose. Most disturbing was its lack of mandibles or proper antennae. This is Captain Park of the United Nations, Starship Thunderchild, came the transmission. We come in peace but are prepared to defend ourselves if necessary. The translator units worked quickly, converting the alien language into something the Call could understand. Ta noted the strange dual message, peace and readiness for conflict mentioned in the same breath. United Nations, Jun whispered. What dominion is that? Ta silenced him with a gesture. These creatures called humans were unknown to the Call, who had dominated their sector for centuries. The implications were troubling. Either these beings had somehow avoided detection by Call scouts, or they came from beyond the Call's explored space. The alien captain continued speaking. We are on a routine patrol mission and detected your approach to this system. This area is within the sphere of human exploration. We welcome peaceful contact with new species. Tai studied the alien vessel more carefully. Its design suggested both function and aesthetics, something the practical Call rarely considered in their own warships. The weapon systems, while numerous, remained inactive. A show of restraint or confidence. "How quaint," he said quietly to his bridge crew. Then, louder for the communication channel. "We acknowledge your greeting, Captain Park. The Call Dominion claims this sector by right of exploration. However, we are willing to discuss matters of territory." The human's expression didn't change, at least not in any way Tay could interpret. With no mandibles or antennae, how did these creatures express their emotions? "We do not recognize any claims until formal diplomatic channels are established," Park replied. "Perhaps we could arrange a meeting between representatives of our species." Tay's mandibles clicked together, a sign of mild irritation that the human would surely miss. The audacity of this unknown species to challenge Call authority, however politely phrased, was unexpected. "Indeed," Tay replied smoothly. "Inform them we will be conducting a standard inspection of their vessel." He gestured for Ban to cut the transmission. The screen returned to the image of the imposing human ship. "Prepare a boarding party," Tay ordered. "Full combat gear." June's antennae twitched nervously. "Commander, is that wise? We know nothing about their capabilities." Tay turned to his second. "That is precisely why we must inspect their vessel. The Dominion cannot allow unknown powers to operate freely in our territory." He paused, looking back at the screen. "Besides, their ship may be large, but they are clearly a lesser species. No proper exoskeleton, no mandibles. How dangerous could they be?" As the boarding party prepared, Ty couldn't shake an unfamiliar feeling crawling along his spine, something the confident commander rarely experienced. Doubt Captain Park's image appeared once more on the main screen of the call vessel. His face remained calm, almost serene, despite the building tension. "I must decline your inspection request," Captain Park replied. "Under Earth Fleet Protocol, this vessel is sovereign territory of the United Nations." Ty felt his crew watching him. No species had ever refused a call inspection before. The very idea was unthinkable. He rose from his command chair, his tall form looming over the communication station. "Explain to this human that inspection is not optional," Ta said. "It is standard procedure in call space." Ban transmitted the message. The human captain listened, then shook his head slightly. "Commander Tay, we respect your customs, but we cannot permit boarding of our vessel without proper diplomatic agreements in place," Park said. "I suggest we establish a neutral meeting point to discuss terms for future interactions." Tay's neck ridges flared in irritation, the scales rising to form a sharp crest along his spine. His inner eyelids flickered rapidly, a sign of rising anger that his crew recognized immediately. Several officers took subtle steps away from their commander. "These humans do not understand their place," Ta hissed. "Fire a warning shot, Officer Da." Weapons Officer Da hesitated for just a moment, her four-fingered hand hovering over the control panel. "Commander, should we not try further communication first?" "The Call Dominion does not beg," Ta snapped. "Fire. Target a point 200 units from their hull." Day nodded and entered the commands. On the tactical display, a pulse of green energy streaked from the call lead ship, intended to pass near the human vessel. The standard warning shot had ended countless standoffs in call history. Few species wished to experience the full power of call weaponry after seeing even this small demonstration. What happened next silenced the entire bridge crew. Before the energy pulse could complete its trajectory, a shimmer of light erupted from the Thunderchild's hull. The pulse, which should have blazed past the human ship, simply disappeared. There was no explosion, no dissipation of energy. The shot was simply gone, as if it had never existed. "What happened?" Ta demanded, his mandibles spreading wide in shock. Hyun bent over her sensor station, frantically adjusting controls. "Their defense field absorbed our shot completely," she reported, voice trembling. "The energy has been captured somehow." A new alert sounded from her console. Hyun's antennae went rigid with alarm. "And Commander, I'm detecting energy readings that suggest our initial scans missed significant portions of their capabilities. Their power output just increased by 300%. "Impossible," Ta snapped. striding to her station. Our sensors are the most advanced in the sector. He looked at the readings himself. The numbers couldn't be right. The human vessel was now radiating power levels that exceeded the combined output of his entire fleet. How could they have hidden such capacity? On the screen, Captain Park's expression had changed. The easy diplomacy was gone, replaced by something harder. "Commander Tay," Park said, his voice now cold, "that was extremely unwise. We came to this encounter hoping for peaceful contact. Your warning shot has been logged as an act of aggression." June stepped closer to Ta. "Commander, perhaps we should withdraw and report this encounter to the Supreme Council. These humans have technology we don't understand." "Withdraw?" Tay's voice rose. "Before a single ship. The Call Dominion has conquered 12 systems. We do not retreat." The tactical display updated, showing that the human vessel was now fully powered. Weapon ports along its hull had opened, revealing systems that glowed with barely contained energy. "Their targeting systems have locked onto all our vessels," Officer Day reported, her voice unnaturally high. "Commander, these are not simple weapons. I'm detecting what appear to be gravitic distortion cannons, but far more advanced than our prototypes." Tai felt cold fear creeping up his spine, but pride would not allow him to show it. 6 ships of the Call fleet against 1 human vessel. The odds were still in their favor, despite the unexpected technology. "Prepare attack formation," Tide ordered, his voice firm. "We will teach these humans respect." The bridge officers exchanged nervous glances, but began carrying out his orders. The Call fleet ships broke from their exploration configuration, moving into the crescent attack pattern that had brought victory in countless engagements. "Commander," Band called from communications, "the human is hailing us again." Tai flicked a dismissive hand. "Ignore them. Final weapons check." "All weapons charged and ready," Da confirmed, though her antennae drooped with worry. On the main screen, the Thunderchild remained motionless, its dark hull now glowing faintly with energy fields that rippled like water. The weapon ports tracked the movement of the Call vessels with perfect precision. "Attack pattern Krizik," Ta commanded. "Full power to forward shields. Commence firing on my mark." The Call ships moved into their final positions. Ta raised his hand, prepared to give the order that would begin the battle. In his mind, victory was still certain. The humans might have surprising technology, but the Call had numbers and experience. Just before he could bring his hand down, Hyun gasped, "Commander, the human ship is changing." On the screen, sections of the Thunderchild's hull were shifting, revealing new weapon systems previously hidden beneath armored plates. Massive cannons emerged from concealed bays. Missile tubes rotated into firing position. Most alarming of all, a hemisphere of shimmering energy began to form at the front of the vessel, a weapon of some kind that made the sensor readings spike to impossible levels. "That's impossible," Ta whispered, his confidence finally cracking. "No ship can mount that many weapon systems and remain maneuverable." Captain Park's voice came through once more, though they hadn't accepted his transmission. "This is your final warning, Commander Ta. Stand down your fleet or face the consequences. The Thunderchild is a peacekeeping vessel, but we are fully capable of defending ourselves." Ta stood frozen, pride warring with the sudden realization that he might have severely misjudged the situation. The humans weren't just another species to be added to the Dominion. They were something else entirely. Something far more dangerous than the Call had ever encountered. Commander Ta stood firm on the bridge, his exoskeleton rigid with determination. The final moment of decision had arrived. His ancestors had not built the Call Dominion by retreating from unknown threats. They had conquered through strength and will. He would do the same. "All ships, execute attack pattern Krizik," Tide ordered, his voice carrying across the command deck. "Full power to weapons." The Call ships surged forward, weapons charging. The familiar hum of energy building in the ship's main cannons filled the bridge. Todd expected a brief, decisive engagement. The humans would learn what it meant to challenge the Dominion. First volley ready, Officer Day reported, her fingers poised over the firing controls. Fire, Ta commanded. Green energy lanced from the 6 call vessels, converging on the human ship. In simulations, this concentrated firepower had overwhelmed the defenses of every known species. The bridge crew watched, mandibles clicking in anticipation of the human vessel's shields failing. Instead, the Thunderchild's defensive field flared brilliant blue, absorbing the combined energy without visible strain. Before the call could fire again, the human vessel responded. What followed instead was devastation. The Thunderchild moved with impossible speed, seeming to glide through space as if the laws of physics were merely suggestions. Long, metallic barrels extended from its hull, glowing briefly before releasing their payload. "Incoming projectiles," shouted the tactical officer. "Impossible," Ta muttered. "They're using physical ammunition." The railguns of the Thunderchild spat hypersonic projectiles that tore through call shields as if they didn't exist. The smallest call vessel, an escort frigate, shuddered as 3 projectiles punched through its engine section. Secondary explosions cascaded through the ship before its emergency systems sealed the damaged areas. "Escort 1 is heavily damaged," Jun reported, his voice tight with shock. "They've lost propulsion and weapons." Ta blinked in disbelief. "Counterattack. Launch missile spread." The call ships released salvos of guided missiles, their propulsion systems flaring bright against the darkness of space. Hundreds of warheads streaked toward the human vessel, weaving complex patterns designed to overwhelm point defenses. The Thunderchild's response was immediate. Dozens of smaller weapon ports along its hull lit up with precise blue-white beams. The point defense lasers swatted incoming missiles from space before they could reach halfway to the human ship. Each laser targeted a different missile with perfect accuracy, creating a sphere of small explosions around the human vessel. "Not a single hit," Dag cried, her antennae rigid with horror. "Their targeting systems are too fast." "Flank them," Tad ordered, desperation creeping into his voice. "Attack pattern direct." The remaining call ships attempted to maneuver around the Thunderchild, seeking a weakness in its defenses. The human ship pivoted with unnatural grace, bringing new weapons to bear. A different kind of energy beam lashed out, striking another call escort. The beam didn't explode or burn through the hull. Instead, the escort's power systems simply went dark. "Escort 2 has lost all power," Jun reported. "Life support on emergency backup only." "3 escorts lost already," cried Jun moments later as another ship went dark. "Their targeting systems are predicting our evasive patterns." Ta gripped the arms of his command chair. This wasn't possible. The call had the most advanced combat algorithms in known space, yet the human vessel was anticipating their every move, countering tactics that had been developed over centuries of warfare. "New attack," Tide ordered, his voice wavering slightly. "All ships, concentrate fire on their engine section." The call vessels regrouped, pouring energy into a single point on the human ship. For a moment, Ta felt hope as the Thunderchild's shields flared brightly under the assault. Then the human vessel rotated slightly, presenting an undamaged section of shielding to absorb the attack while it prepared its response. The counterattack was surgical. The Thunderchild fired what appeared to be precisely calibrated energy pulses at Ta's flagship. The ship shuddered violently, throwing several bridge officers from their stations. "Damage report," Ta shouted over the wailing alarms. "Propulsion systems down," reported the engineering officer. "Weapon control circuits damaged. Secondary power grid failing." Ta watched in horror as his flagship shuddered under precision strikes that disabled their propulsion without destroying the vessel. The human ship could have vaporized them. That much was clear now. Instead, it was methodically disabling the call fleet while preserving the lives of the crews. This wasn't just superior technology. This was something worse. This was mercy. On the tactical display, Ta could see that the 2 remaining escort ships had also been precisely crippled. The entire call fleet floated helplessly in space, at the complete mercy of the human vessel, which hadn't suffered even minor damage. "They're hailing us," Van said quietly from the communication station. Ty stared at the main screen as Captain Park's image appeared. The human looked neither triumphant nor angry. His expression was professional, almost compassionate. "This is Captain Park. Your ships are disabled, but life support remains intact. I offer terms for immediate cessation of hostilities. No further action will be taken against your vessels if you agree to peaceful resolution of this conflict." Tay's neck ridges flattened in submission, a gesture so involuntary and ancient that he couldn't suppress it. His pride crumbled as he looked at the battle displays. Half his fleet neutralized in minutes, not a single scratch on the human vessel. The most advanced military force in the Call Dominion, rendered helpless in less time than it took to perform a standard drill exercise. The bridge crew watched him in silence, waiting for his decision. Would he order them to fight to the death, as ancient Call tradition demanded? Or would he accept the humans' terms and face disgrace when they returned home? Ta looked at his crew, at June's worried face, at Him's trembling antennae, at Daz's slumped posture. These were not just his subordinates. They were his responsibility. "We accept," he said, the words bitter in his mouth. The human captain nodded. "We will send shuttlecraft to assist with repairs. Medical teams will accompany them to tend to any injured personnel." The transmission ended, leaving the bridge in stunned silence. Ta stared at the blank screen, trying to process how thoroughly his understanding of the galaxy had been shattered in mere minutes. "Commander," Jun said quietly, "what will we tell the Supreme Council?" Tay turned to his second-in-command, his mandibles set in a grim line. "The truth, Jun, that we have encountered a power beyond our understanding, and that the Call Dominion's place in the stars is not what we believed it to be." Outside the viewport, the massive form of the Thunderchild loomed against the stars, its weapon systems now retracted, once again presenting the appearance of a sleek exploration vessel rather than the instrument of war it had proven to be. The small shuttle detached from the crippled Call flagship and moved slowly toward the Thunderchild. Inside, Commander Tai sat rigidly beside his second-in-command, Jun. Both wore their formal military attire, sleek black armor plates that covered their exoskeletons, decorated with the silver insignias of the Call Dominion. "This is humiliation," Ta said quietly, his mandibles barely moving. "To board their vessel as defeated enemies." Jun's antennae twitched nervously. "The alternative was death, Commander." The human captain showed restraint. Ta hissed softly. "Restraint is worse than destruction. It means they did not consider us worthy opponents." The shuttle approached a large opening in the Thunderchild's hull. Lights guided them into a spacious docking bay where several other craft sat in perfect alignment. The Call shuttle settled onto the deck with a gentle thud. "Their docking bay is larger than our entire command deck," Jun whispered. The shuttle door opened with a soft hiss. Outside stood 4 humans in blue uniforms. They carried no visible weapons, yet Ta sensed they were far from defenseless. One human stepped forward, shorter than the others, with features that suggested female gender according to the limited Call knowledge of human biology. "Commander Ta, Officer Jun," she said, her voice clear through the translation device. "I am Lieutenant Jin, Chief Security Officer of the Thunderchild. Welcome aboard." Tai rose to his full height, nearly 2 heads taller than the human, and stepped from the shuttle. "We come under terms of surrender, not as guests." Lieutenant Jin's expression remained neutral. "Captain Park prefers to call it a ceasefire negotiation. Please follow me." The shuttle carrying Tai and Jun had docked with the Thunderchild. Now human security personnel led them through corridors that hummed with power. The walls gleamed with a material Tai couldn't identify, neither metal nor composite, but something that seemed to shift subtly as they passed. "Your vessel's interior is unexpected," Ta said, breaking the uncomfortable silence. Lieutenant Jin glanced back. "How so, Commander?" "War vessels in the Dominion are strictly functional. No unnecessary space or amenities. They turned a corner, and Ta stopped involuntarily. Through a large transparent wall, he saw what appeared to be a garden. Actual plants growing in soil, with small water features and benches where humans sat talking or reading. "What is the purpose of this?" Tai asked, genuinely confused. "Recreation area," Jin explained. "Crew members spend time here between shifts. Studies show natural environments improve mental health during long deployments." They continued walking, passing what appeared to be dining facilities, exercise rooms, and even what Jin explained was a theater for entertainment performances. Tai's eyes widened at what he saw. The ship contained gardens, recreational facilities, and comfortable living quarters. This was not merely a war machine, but a home for its crew. "Your species allocates resources to comfort rather than combat efficiency," Tai observed. Jin smiled slightly. "We find that crew who are well-rested and content perform better in combat situations. Efficiency includes human factors, Commander." The concept was alien to Ta. Call warriors lived in Spartan conditions, trained to endure hardship as a matter of pride. The idea that comfort could produce better warriors challenged centuries of Call military doctrine. "This way to the conference room," said Lieutenant Jin, gesturing toward a doorway. The door slid open to reveal a circular room with a large table. Windows looked out into space, showing the disabled Call fleet in the distance. Standing at the head of the table was the human Ta recognized as Captain Park. "Commander Ta." "Officer Jun," Park said, stepping forward. "Thank you for coming." Ta noticed that the human captain wore no armor, just a simple uniform with minimal markings of rank. Yet he moved with the confidence of a being who needed no external symbols of authority. "We had little choice," Ta responded stiffly. Park gestured to the seats. "Please sit. Can we offer you refreshment? Our science team has analyzed Call physiology and prepared suitable options." Jun looked to Ta for guidance. Such courtesy to defeated enemies was not part of Call military tradition. "Water will suffice," Ta said finally, taking a seat. A different human appeared with containers of clear liquid, then departed silently. Captain Park sat across from the Call officers, his hands folded before him. "I hope this incident can lead to understanding rather than further conflict," Park said. "Neither humanity nor the United Nations seeks war with the Call." Tai's mandibles clicked in suppressed emotion. "Your actions speak differently than your words, Captain. Your vessel attacked without provocation." Park's expression remained calm. "Your vessels fired first, Commander. We responded with appropriate force to neutralize the threat while minimizing casualties. Had we wished to destroy your fleet, we could have done so." The truth of this statement hung heavy in the air between them. "Your vessel," Ta said, voice hollow. "It far exceeds our intelligence estimates of human capability. Our sensors detected only a fraction of your true power." Park nodded. "The Thunderchild is actually a mid-range vessel in our fleet. We have far larger ships serving different functions." Jun nearly collapsed at this revelation, his exoskeleton making a soft clicking sound as he clutched the edge of the table. "Impossible," he whispered. "You claim to have ships more powerful than the one that defeated our entire fleet." "The Thunderchild is a patrol cruiser," Park explained. "Our defensive vessels are considerably larger and better armed. Our science vessels carry different technology altogether." Todd felt as though the gravity had increased in the room. Everything he had believed about the Call's place in the galaxy was crumbling around him. "How?" he asked simply. "How has your species achieved such advancement without the Dominion's knowledge?" Captain Park's expression softened slightly. "Earth, our homeworld, shaped us differently than your evolution shaped the Call. Humans evolved on a high-gravity world with thousands of predator species," Park explained. "We learned to prepare for the worst while hoping for the best." He tapped a control on the table, and a holographic image appeared. A blue-green planet spinning slowly in space. "This is Earth," Park continued. "For most of our history, we fought each other. Nation against nation, ideology against ideology. When we finally reached the stars, we carried those lessons with us, both the destructive knowledge of warfare and the hard-won wisdom of peace. Ta stared at the image of the human homeworld, trying to comprehend a species that could create both gardens and weapons of such devastating power. The Call believed we were the apex species, Ta said quietly. We have conquered 12 systems, subjugated 8 other sentient races. We thought we were destined to rule. Park deactivated the hologram. Many species believe that, Commander. It's a natural assumption when you encounter only less advanced civilizations. But the galaxy is vast, and there are many paths of evolution and advancement. Ta looked directly at the human captain. Will you now conquer the Dominion? Take our worlds as we have taken others? No, Park said simply. That is not our way. We will offer alliance, trade, cultural exchange. The United Nations believes in self-determination for all sentient species. The concept was so foreign that Tai struggled to process it. Power without conquest. Strength without domination. It contradicted everything the Call civilization had built itself upon. I do not understand your species, Tai admitted. Park smiled slightly. That's why we're talking, Commander. Understanding begins with conversation. 3 cycles had passed since the encounter with the human battleship. The Call Dominion had changed more in those 3 cycles than in the previous 100. Commander Ta stood on the observation platform of the Call High Council chamber, his once bright silver exoskeleton now bearing the blue stripe of a diplomatic envoy. His tall form was still imposing, but he carried himself differently now, with caution rather than arrogance. Through the massive crystal viewport, he watched as the human delegation arrived. 3 ships glided into orbit around the Call homeworld. At the center was the now familiar form of the Thunderchild. On either side floated vessels of different design, one sleek and clearly built for speed, the other larger and bristling with scientific equipment rather than weapons. Impressive, aren't they? Said a voice behind him. Tai turned to see High Counselor Quan approaching. The eldest member of the Call leadership moved slowly, his exoskeleton showing the pale yellowing of advanced age. Yet his eyes remained sharp, missing nothing. They sent only 3 ships, Tai observed. A small delegation for such an important treaty. Quan's mandibles clicked in what had recently become known as the human laugh among younger Call. A show of respect, Commander. They understand that a larger fleet might appear threatening. Ta nodded. The humans were surprisingly considerate of Call pride, despite having every reason to flaunt their superiority. Your report changed everything, said High Counselor Quan, joining Tai at the viewport. Our assumptions about our place in the galaxy have been completely overturned. Quan wasn't exaggerating. Ta's detailed account of the battle and subsequent meetings aboard the Thunderchild had sent shockwaves through Call society. The Supreme Council had initially considered his report exaggerated or compromised, until the sensor logs from the fleet confirmed every word. The Dominion is still struggling to accept it, Ta said. Many believe we should prepare for war rather than sign treaties. Those voices grow quieter each day, Quan replied, especially since the humans shared their medical technology. The new treatments have already saved thousands of hatchlings from shell rot disease. Ta watched as a small shuttle detached from the Thunderchild and began its descent toward the planet's surface. Captain Park would be on that shuttle, along with human diplomats and scientists. The humans do not seek conquest, but they are always ready for it, Ta said thoughtfully. Their history is filled with conflicts that would have extinguished our species. When Captain Park showed me their historical archives, I could hardly believe what I saw. Wars that spanned their entire planet, weapons that could destroy continents. And yet they survived, Quan mused. Not only survived, but emerged unified. Not without cost, Tai replied. They carry their history with them. It shapes everything they do. Below, the shuttle was now visible as a bright point of light descending through the atmosphere. In a few hours, the treaty would be signed, a document that would forever change the Call Dominion's approach to the galaxy. And yet they offer technology exchange, medical advances, and defensive alliances, Quan said, his voice tinged with wonder. They could have demanded our surrender, taken our worlds as we have taken others. Ty remembered his last private conversation with Captain Park, just before leaving the Thunderchild. The human had shown him something called chess, a strategy game that Park claimed was thousands of years old. The goal isn't to destroy your opponent's pieces, Park had explained. It's to create a situation where victory is inevitable. The best players rarely need to capture many pieces at all. Because they understand something we did not, Ty replied, watching the sleek human vessels. True strength lies not in domination, but in being so formidable that others seek your friendship rather than your enmity. A soft chime indicated that the shuttle was approaching the landing platform. It was time for Ty to fulfill his new role as liaison to the humans. The younger generation admires them, Quan noted as they turned to leave the observation deck. My own grandson has applied to be among the first call students to study on Earth. Todd wasn't surprised. The humans had already begun broadcasting educational and cultural programs that had captivated call youth. Old ideas were being questioned, ancient traditions examined. Change is difficult, Ta said, but necessary. The alternative would have been extinction had we continued on our path and encountered a less merciful species than humans. They walked together through the grand hallway of the council chamber, passing murals that depicted the glorious history of the Call Dominion, conquests and subjugations now viewed through a different lens. We will adapt, Quan said firmly, as we have always done. But this time, we adapt not to conquer, but to coexist. Ta nodded, thinking of June, who now led a scientific exchange team aboard a human research vessel, and Hyun, who had been invited to study human sensor technology at their academy. Even Da, who had initially been most bitter about their defeat, was now working to integrate human defensive systems with call technology. As they approached the ceremonial chamber where the treaty would be signed, Ta glanced once more through a window. In the space above, the Thunderchild hovered, a silent reminder of the day the Call learned they were not alone in their capacity for advancement, and that the stars held powers far beyond their imagination. The galaxy had suddenly become a much larger, more complex place, and the Call, for the first time in their long history, found themselves learning rather than teaching, following rather than leading. It was humbling. It was necessary. And as Ty prepared to greet Captain Park as an equal rather than a conqueror, he realized it might even be better.